Welcome to Face the State. I'm Arianna Bennett. Thank you for joining us. If you haven't had to worry about college applications in a few years or maybe a few decades, be grateful. The process has gotten even more competitive and less straightforward. So how do you navigate this? And if it's seeming way too daunting, how do you convince soon-to-be grads to do it anyway? Jairon Castellanos Boteo, Senior Coordinator of TMCC's Recruitment and Access Center, is here with me to talk about that. Thank you so much for taking the time.
No, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Great to have you on the show. You've worked in a variety of roles in the college admissions sphere. Can you give us a picture of what applicants are kind of dealing with right now?
So the biggest issue is students not knowing what the process is like, right? Because each college might have different processes in applying or going through the admissions process, what is required, what test scores, what grades, what GPA. So students not knowing really is the biggest issue.
And there's no consistency too. I was looking at how across the board you have some schools who do require like SAT and ACT scores and some who won't consider it at all, some where it's optional, but does that mean it's really optional? So how can students kind of navigate that?
Yeah, and it's super complicated because some schools have different steps to apply, right? Some schools make it a little bit harder, a little bit easier. For example, typically we tell students to reach out to admissions officers, right? Coordinators, recruiters that work at the colleges or universities to get the insight on what the steps look like. For example, when students reach out to us at TMCC, we typically sit down and guide them through the steps. Luckily, TMCC has pretty easy steps to apply. Just 3 easy steps. You apply, you do your orientation, and then you enroll into classes. And we have recruiters that are there to help students through every step of the process, ask questions, meet one-on-one, come to workshops, online support, things like that. So there are colleges that are putting steps in there to help students, but it can also be very daunting when it comes to applying.
So would you say that students should still be doing the standardized testing even if they're not necessarily going to be applying to a school that requires it, or is it not necessary? What do you think?
Well, I always tell our students to cross their T's and dot their I's, right? Make sure, because you never know what your goal is, where you want to go. You might have a change of plans and might want to go to a different school, and some schools may accept those scores, some others will not take them, right, like you said. But it's always nice to have a plan B or something backup plan when it comes to school.
Yeah. Now, AI is also playing a role in kind of everything right now, but in college admissions, and I thought this was pretty interesting. I was reading about how a lot of admissions offices are using AI to kind of screen applications and weed out candidates. Is there any advice you can give to people applying to kind of deal with that?
Biggest thing is when it comes to applying, just being very authentic, right? Speaking from the heart when it comes to writing essays, when it comes to going through the application process, and really connecting with those people one-on-one, right? Having those Zoom meetings, those in-person campus visits, things such like that. When we have students come over with us, they go one-on-one tours, they'll sit down in our offices and get help enrolling. I think that really does help a lot.
Yeah, the authenticity I think is probably big across the board, which also leads into not using AI to write your application essays.
Exactly, exactly, right? It gets flagged, it's screened a lot of the time, especially within the education realm. So it's always really good to be authentic, and AI is a great tool to have, right? Grammar checks, things like that, but always being very authentic to when it comes to writing essays.
Yeah, write the essay first, and then feed it through AI to check your spelling.
Exactly.
Grammar or whatever.
Exactly. We always want to hear students' personal stories, where they come from, what their background's like, and just really understand the student themselves.
Yeah, AI can never be as creative as the actual applicant will be. So that's good to remember. Okay, so then at TMCC specifically, I know you're not just reaching out to all students, but you are kind of targeting first generation students, people who don't have a history of college attendance in their families. Why those students in particular?
Because it's students who need the most help, right? Typically we have students who have mom and dad have gone to school and they know typically the process about applying, completing financial aid or different scholarships to get school paid for. And we have those first gen students, which I am one of them, that didn't have that, right? My parents knew nothing about college or what the application process looked like, scholarships. To them, me graduating high school was it, right? And we have a lot of these students who don't have that, and they need that guidance, that support. Tell them, hey, you know what? There are scholarships out there you can apply to. Like at TMCC, we have Nevada Promise, which is a great resource for students, where it doesn't have test scores or essays that need to be written. All it has is deadlines, right? Students have to apply by a certain date, do community service hours, meet with a mentor, do their FAFSA and things such like that.
Yeah, and the great thing about TMCC, I mean, there's many great things, but you can get some of your prereqs out of the way, you can get some of those core requirements out of the way there, and then if you wanted to move on to UNR or another school, it's easier to do that, right?
Oh yeah, exactly. So TMCC is a great school for anyone, right? For students who are pursuing that traditional sense of college, business, psychology, education can come here, get their first few classes done, get their associates, and transfer over to any university within Nevada and get it all seamlessly transferred. Or we also have programs for students who want to work in the trades, right? Or want to get in and go straight into the workforce. Anywhere from welding to automotive to CNC machining to even a quick certificate like our 911 Dispatch Academy we have. And we have programs for adults who try and return back and get some type of certification to go into a different career field.
So as a first-gen college student yourself, what were the barriers that you felt kind of to this process?
I think the biggest barrier I faced was not knowing that college wasn't like high school. I was not going to have my college professor reach out to me and say, hey, Heido, you're missing assignment A and B, or hey, it's going to be late if you don't turn it in. Or you know what, I'll give you till tomorrow, turn it in for 80% credit, right? I had no clue what college was like. I thought it was like high school, where in high school I excelled because I had support from counselors, teachers, and I got to see them every day, in comparison to college where you're going to class twice a week with that professor, and if you don't make time to meet with them in their office hours or after or before class, you're really not going to see them. And not knowing what it is to be a college student in of itself, right? And the resources that are out there. A lot of times we tell students don't be a parking lot student where you're not using your resources or taking advantage of making those connections on campus, because it's super crucial to make those connections on campus.
It's really good advice, honestly. It's something I did not figure out for a little while, and I was not a first-gen college student, but I remember that I didn't figure out office hours for a while, and it made a big difference when I finally got that down. But yeah, I mean, so there's things like that that I think, useful for everybody, especially for these first-gen kids. So anything else that you would say that this group, needs in particular or would benefit from?
I think reaching out to any first-gen support program, right? For example, at TMCC, we have the Summer Bridge program that is first-generation students. Our TRIO program, we have our Nevada Promise program, also has a mentor component to it. I know UNR has their First Gen Center as well. Just reaching out to these programs and seeing what the application process is like to be part of those programs to get that support. I know all these programs are always recruiting students to help them, right? Get them through college to get their degrees and go and become successful adults and members of the community.
All right. Well, we are just about done here, but any other message you'd like to send to the general people out there considering applying for college of any kind?
I always say just try it out. Try it out and be a lifelong learner. If at first, the first few classes you take, it may not be the ones you want, or it may not be something you're interested in. I promise you, once you find your niche, once you find the class that really piques your interest, it'll be a lot of fun and super enjoyable.
Okay, and even those who are not high school seniors, lots of continuing ed options there too, like you said, lifelong learner.
Exactly.
All right, Heido, thank you so much for your time.
No, thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, coming up on Face the State, we have some great colleges and universities in our area, but unfortunately they don't offer every field of study, like veterinary medicine, for example. How a new program is working to extend the option to Nevada students after the break.